picture this. Incredible fight scenes. Blasting cold mountains. Wonderful adventure. A little love interest. That's what we're getting into this week with Graceling by Kristin Cashore in another Requested Reads. My name is Jess.
My name is Hannah.
And this Requested Reads is brought to us by the ever so wonderful Ray at runaway_Ray_. They are a wonderful little bean. They've recommended to us a fantastic book. We are so excited to talk about it. But first, do you want to start us off with a description?
I would love to, and I would be so honored. So here is a description for you. Katza has been able to kill people with her bare hands since she was 8. She lives in the 7 kingdoms, where very occasionally a person is born with an extreme skill called a grace, though not every grace is as frightening as Katza's. Gracelings are feared and exploited in the 7 kingdoms, none more so than Katza, who's expected to do the dirty work of torture and punishment for her uncle, King Randa. But then she meets a mysterious stranger named Poe, who's also a graced fighter and the first person ever to challenge her in a fight. Together, Katza and Poe are thrown into a mystery that brings them face to face with a terrible danger spreading slowly through the 7 kingdoms.
Bum, bum, bum.
Da, da, da. So, do you want to start us off with some spoiler-free general thoughts? What's your rating? Let's start there.
Okay. 5 stars. Easily. Okay. Yes, I give them out like a slut. However, still. 5 stars. For whatever that may or may not be worth. I had a great time reading this book. I read it in like 5 days. I flew through it. The adventure was captivating. The characters were memorable. I absolutely fell in love with Bitterblue. Oh my goodness. And yeah, just like the pacing was great. I never felt like there was a big lull in the story. And that was wonderful, especially because I feel like fantasy can fall victim to that in like the first third to half of the book a lot of the time.
Yeah, because there's a lot of world building and stuff that needs to happen. It can get a little info dumpy.
Yeah, but this one didn't. It was not info dumpy. It was just a steady trickle of info that just left me, like drinking at it like a hamster at a little water thingy. So it was great. I loved it.
That's fantastic.
So, as we all know, I love me some quotes. So, I forgot a whole heckin' bunch to share. However, I will try to keep it brief. But there were some quotes in this book that were honestly like one line were so moving that I was a little surprised. I won't lie. And it started on page 8. Okay.
Of course. As all good books do.
They start on page 8. That's where good books start. She didn't think much of a king who didn't retire his guards in comfort when they'd gotten too old to hold a sword steady. And it's like, ooh.
Oh.
She's right about that. Treat your people well and they will they'll treat you well, they'll remain loyal, they'll work hard for you, but you need to show them that appreciation, that you're as dedicated to them as they are to you, etc., etc. And then we immediately went to page 9. It was fine to eat the meals of the king's chef, who was graced with cooking, or send their horses to the king's graced horse doctor, but a girl graced with killing, this one was not safe. And that oh, because it's the double standard where it's like, okay, these people have the same gifts, so to speak, but they're just able to do different things with them. And the fact that, that some people are essentially cast out and bullied and shunned from like good graces in society, so to speak. I don't know. That hit me on page 9. Okay. And it's just like, ooh, shit. Like, I feel like it just said a lot about their society right off the rip. And then learning later on that, that's actually just that kingdom. Like, there are other kingdoms where, they do treat these people with, like, reverently. They look up to these people. They appreciate them for what they can do for society. I feel like it made it even more powerful,
Yeah, and it also, like, added to how she herself was treated, essentially as, like, a guard dog and an animal. Like, she wasn't treated like a person, and she kind of struggles with that throughout the rest of the book as she, like, moves away from that control.
And yeah, on that even same note as control, like a lot of the like character building in the first like 100 pages do sort of center around this like character that, Katsa is pushed into by her uncle. She's forced to play this role by him. And so on page 30, it says, after a while, Katsa forgot about defiance. It became too difficult to imagine. And it's like, even though she has all this physical power and she fully believed that killing people was her God-given talent. And still, she's like, okay, well, like, he's the boss. And it's just like, girl.
Bestie.
Girl.
You could kill this man so fast, like, what do you mean?
Take a step back. You can kill him with your pinky. You're gonna be okay.
Which then goes to show, like, how psychological it is.
Very psychological. Very much so.
Because there's no practical reason that he should have that much power over her.
No, none. Like, physically, she could level him immediately, within seconds. And so it's like, okay, so why does he control her so much? It's like, okay, because she's been trained to, obey him her entire life. But
then we have Poe, who waltzes in and goes, why do you do what he wants you to do?
And she just goes, huh.
That's a good question.
I don't know. Let's think about that a little.
For like 2 seconds, yeah.
Yeah. Also, Katsa's attitude? Ugh. Page 63, she was told by her, like, nursemaid type person, it would look stunning, my lady. And then she just kind of, like, looks at her and she goes, if there's anyone I wish to stun at dinner, I'll hit him in the face.
I remember that. I think I highlighted that too.
I was just like, fuck, yes, get him. Like, that alone just perfectly showcases Katsa's attitude, I feel.
Yeah, and then also when it comes to killing, though, she does question it, like, the morality of it. And, like, she starts to think for herself slowly as the book goes on, which is good to see.
Yes, actually, my favorite quote in the entire book relates to that. And it's actually from page 136. And it says, when you're a monster, she thought, you are thanked and praised for not behaving like a monster. She would like to restrain from cruelty and receive no admiration for it.
Yeah, I think I highlighted that too.
I was just like, ooh! Like, and that was before we even got into the adventure. Like,
yeah, this was like still when we were establishing her life beforehand, before things changed.
I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. I liked that, where like it, like timeline-wise, it kind of started in the middle of like her, like things are already sort of in motion. Like, the beginning didn't start from the beginning. The beginning started with her on a mission.
On a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already for, like, the council, which is, like, her sort of, like, side quest sort of thing that has grown exponentially.
It's like a passion project.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, like, all about, like, restoring justice and using her power for something positive to make herself feel more, like, even keel and like she has a purpose. And then it just, like, escalates from there as she pulls even more of her control back from Randa.
So, I'm gonna get a wee bit more spoilery. Poe.
Poe! I love him with my whole heart. He's quite possibly one of my favorite characters ever to have existed.
He is so wholesome and pure and wonderful, and also, like, he has such a rawness to him that it really, like, tugs on your heartstrings. Like, some of the, like, little monologues that he gives, where he's like, I will have friends, I will have a life, I'm not going to carry, like, even if I have to carry this burden, I will not be alone. And it's just like, oh, my guy, I just want to hug him. I want to hug him so bad.
Yeah.
Also, Katza learning to be able to accept loving somebody else, even though that, you know, she's never going to marry. She never has any intention to marry. She never intends to bear children at any point. But her realizing that that does not mean that her life needs to be without love was so beautiful and touching. And also, it also hurt. Just a bit. Okay. It hurt a little bit. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it hurt.
Okay.
And that was on page 229. His eyes were beautiful. His face was beautiful to her in every way. And his shoulders and hands, and his arms that hung over his knees, and his chest that was not moving because he held his breath as he watched her. And the heart in his chest. This friend. How had she not seen this before? How had she not seen him? She was blind. And then tears choked her eyes, for she had not asked for this. She had not asked for this beautiful man before her, with something hopeful in his eyes that she did not want. And it's, because she wants it so bad at the same time, but she doesn't want to allow herself to want it.
And she doesn't, because she doesn't want to relinquish her freedom and her own control. And she doesn't ever want to be at the behest of another man again.
Okay, another wonderful Katsupo moment was page 254, and this one, oh my god, do you ever just, like, you're holding your Kindle reading, and then you read something that just makes you, like, grip it really hard and just, like, shake a bit?
Yeah, girl, my hands were sweating the whole last 100 pages.
Yeah, okay, so this part gave me one of those moments where it's just like, ooh, okay. Poe, he looked up at her. If you learned that my grace wasn't killing, she said, but survival. He raised his eyebrows. Would it surprise you? He pursed his lips. No, it makes much more sense to me. But it's like saying my grace is life. Yes, it's absurd. Is it? I don't think so. It's not just your own life, he said. You saved many lives with your grace. She shook her head. Not as many as I've heard. Possibly, but you have the rest of your life to tip the balance, and you'll live long.
Also, just the fact that her grace is life and his grace is sensing life.
Yeah. That's
a major spoiler, by the way. Sorry.
That's okay. I think we're into the episode where we're talking about it. So
yeah. Like,
yeah,
that's like they're so perfectly matched, and the way he has so much patience
wonderful
for her.
Yeah,
and like just whatever she needs.
He is the only like perfect option for her because like she needs someone that's able to understand where she's at and what she needs, and she's not at that point in her own journey where she's able to just communicate that freely. And the fact that he's able to just know what she needs in that way. And also when she learns to set boundaries at the same time, where she can control what thoughts that she can like cut off from him. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This book is such a wonderful, wonderful lesson in communication and learning how to work with what the other person needs in order to communicate successfully and to both feel like you're getting what you need out of the communication, and just like learning to work together in that regard. Ugh.
I feel like it's also a lesson in loving people where they are.
Yes.
Instead of asking them to be anything other than who they are and where they are. Like, even when, like after Poe loses his sight and he doesn't want to go home, she just goes, okay, I'll stay here with you. Yeah. And, like, doesn't try to push him to do whatever is convenient for her, doesn't try to, like, change his mind. She just accepts him exactly as he is, exactly in the mood that he's in, and loves him unconditionally regardless, and just sticks by him.
Reader, I married him.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, I also gave this 5 stars. This book was beautiful, and on top of that, this was exactly what I needed right now, presently in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was exactly what I needed in terms of, like, where I am in my own sort of, like I found myself relating really hard to Katza. Like, I am not convinced that I want to be in a serious relationship. I am not convinced that I want to get married. I am not convinced that I would be able to trust someone in that way. I don't think that I can do that. I don't think it's just like, you know, like I sometimes have that sort of like grief of like, I don't know if that would work for me, for my own set of reasons. And then so to just read a story about someone who finds something that works for her, along with those boundaries, and also having like seeing someone be loved, those boundaries included, and not being treated like she's too difficult or she's, you know, being ridiculous or being too sensitive or being too pushy. Like, he just goes, okay, and just loves her. It also, like, spoke to me in terms of, like, there was one quote where she said she wanted to make him feel pain for having taken a place in her heart that she would not have given had she known the truth. And, like, ooh, that got me in the chest. Like, that just spoke to me. Like, there was just so many, like, things like that really resonated with me. And also, like, fearing your own power and your own self. And, like, the themes around, like you said, communication and all of that, also was really moving to me. Like, I literally sobbed on my couch today.
Yeah, she sent me a video just, like, of herself sobbing. And she's like, be so for real.
Like, this is so fucked up.
This is so fucked up right now. And I was just like, oh, go off. Yeah. I know exactly where you are.
Yeah, it was just such a beautiful book, and the writing style was so beautiful, and it did a lot of things with, like, the badass FMC trope that, like, sort of reimagined it in a way, because Katza is a whole person. Like, her whole identity is not just being strong. It's literally her learning that that's not her whole identity, and her exploring other parts of herself throughout the book, and, like, all the things that she's capable of, and learning the truth of her grace and what her purpose actually is. And also, like, deciding for herself what she wants and where her boundaries are, and she sticks to it as well. I loved that. I was half expecting it to end up being like she's going to change her mind for Poe, but she doesn't. She doesn't want to get married.
She's got that stick-to-itiveness about her.
Yes. Yeah, and I really appreciated that, because she never had to compromise. Like, at least she didn't have to compromise on her own boundaries. She did make compromises, obviously, because she's stayed with Poe when he needed her and things like that, but she never compromised, like, who she was and what her boundaries were. And I loved that. And I loved to see that. And it was just really healing for me as a story in general, I think. And the relationship between her and Bitterblue as well, like the found family aspect of it.
So sweet. The way that she, even right from the beginning, that she coaxed Bitterblue out of that log when, like, she didn't even trust her cousin in that moment.
Yeah.
And she had met him before. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so wholesome. I love that. And then, like, just the way that they take care of each other in the mountain. Wonderful.
Yeah, and so, like, 5 stars. 5 stars. This has easily made it into my top 5 series ever. It's second after the 5th season. It just spoke to me, and I found it so moving in so many ways. And, like, all that to say as well. Like, all that aside, like, even just the writing style, the world building, the way things were gradually revealed, and the way that it sort of, like, subverted expectations because it didn't follow all the, like, romantasy tropes. Like, it just didn't do that. It did entirely its own thing. And the magic system, it's not even really magic, but, like, the thing about the Gracelings and, like, you know, the way the politics were working and the plot twists and everything, like, it was so beautifully, like, no notes, literally, there's not a single thing that I would change. And I really thought that it would drag, like, when they're on their, like, during the travel time.
Yeah,
I really thought that it would drag.
Like, it was wonderfully paced.
It was wonderfully paced, and I think the reason why it didn't drag is because the author used that space so beautifully to develop the characters and the internal conflict and the internal storyline in between the plot points of, like, the outer conflict. And I think that was really beautifully sewn together in a way that I don't think I've ever seen done before. And
Snaps.
Yeah, and, like, the language...
Snaps for Kristin Cashore.
Yeah, and the language, like, it sort of has an archaic sort of feel to the way that the characters speak. Like, their vernacular is a bit unique. And so it was just lovely to read. And it had, like, its own sort of... It's almost like the book took on its own sort of personality. And I really loved that. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on it. 5 stars.
Spoiler free?
5 stars, no notes. Mostly spoiler free. Yeah. And now we have to address the elephant in the room, King Lek.
God. Oh.
That was so scary.
That was so fucked up when he was just there.
Yeah. When they arrived. So she goes through this whole adventure. She, like, saves Bitterblue. She, like, climbs a mountain.
Sacrifices Poe.
Like, leaves Poe behind, like, is, like, doing everything. Like... doing everything to keep this girl alive, only to arrive at their safe haven, and King Lek, the big bad guy, is already there, waiting for them.
Already there. And has claimed Poe's castle as his own, which also technically isn't even Poe's at that point, but no one knows that.
Yeah, because he had relinquished it over to Katza because he wanted her to have a home if he died.
I know.
Because he's the only
one. He made her a princess and didn't tell her.
And because he was the only one immune to King Lek's power, which his grace was to basically make people believe anything that he says. So, like, he could, like, commit a murder in front of people and then tell them it was an accident and they'll believe him.
Oh, no. Yeah. And they just go, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, but then also, the little detail about how, like, even if he doesn't say it directly, like, even if someone else spreads the rumor.
It can be someone else, like, continuing his lie.
Yeah, and spreading the rumor. And then it still has power. And it dilutes over however many people it goes through, but it still has some effect. And so he has this, like, grand reputation for being this kind and benevolent king, when in reality, this is all things that he's made up. And he murdered his own wife and was trying to, like, get his daughter back. Yeah, like, heavily. And then wants his daughter back for, like, heavily implied pedophilia reasons. And it was super creepy.
It's messed up.
It's really messed up. Like, read your content warnings before going into it. But yeah, like, so creepy. And just the fact that, like, what finally broke through the spell was that he was about to reveal to everyone like that Poe's
Oh
Grace
my
wasn't
God.
actually fighting. And that's like the one thing that sliced through. She was like, no, nobody can know. And so she throws a dagger and like it catches in his mouth and kills him.
It was like Hannibal type shit.
Yeah.
The way that
Yeah.
she like basically just impaled the back of his throat
Yeah.
to the chair that he was sitting in via throwing a dagger across a room
Yeah.
with just a split second of mental clarity.
Exactly. Like, oh,
Jaw-dropping
my
moment.
God. Ugh, I was so happy when that happened. And then she felt bad about it. I was like, girl, don't.
Oh my God. I
don't.
like squealed. Straight up. I was so happy that she broke through for a split second, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote after from Bitterblue, because Bitterblue knew.
It was Bitterblue's idea to kill the king.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was immune as well because he had done too many things for his power to work on her.
Yeah. He had crossed that line too far.
Yeah, she witnessed too much and eventually it
Yeah.
didn't work.
Mm-hmm. But on page 418, she placed herself before Katza, pulled her own knife from its sheath, and held it shakily against them. You will not hurt her, Bitterblue said. She did right. And this is like a 7-year-old girl.
She's 10, I'm pretty
10?
sure. 10 or
Okay.
11.
She's small. She's little.
She's a baby, yeah. But I have the rest of that quoted. Hold on, let me.
Oh.
I also, yeah, here we go. I made the same highlight, but I highlighted more of it. So I highlighted, she placed herself before Katza, pulled her own knife from its sheath, and held it shakily against them. You will not hurt her, Bitterblue said. She did right. Child, King Roar said, move aside, for we don't wish to hurt you. You aren't well, Princess Bitterblue. You're protecting the murderer of your own father. I'm perfectly well now that he's dead, Bitterblue said, her voice growing stronger and her hand steadying. And I'm not a princess. I'm the queen of Monsea. Katza's punishment is my responsibility, and I say she did right, and you will not hurt her.
Fuck yes.
Go Bitterblue! That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
And like that's what her saying that is what finally cuts through the confusion of everyone else in the room for them to all realize what really happened. And like Katza starts to realize, so then things start to fall back into place. And then, you know, they travel back and they get Poe and everything's all good. Sort of.
Mostly.
Mostly. And yeah, so like that was such a yes moment for me too. Is like I highlighted it too.
Yep.
Yeah. It was so good. And also with Poe, major spoiler, having lost his sight, that struck me. That's the part that made me sob. It struck me because obviously it's not the same thing. And I do have my sight and it's very intact. But
Well, you wear glasses. It's mostly
okay,
intact.
shut up. It's mostly intact. But what I mean to say is I know what it feels like to have the way that you move in the world and the way that you interact with the world and the way that you view it. I know what it feels like to have that fundamentally and irrevocably altered. And I know, and for Poe, for a time, the grief of that just sort of overtook him. And I know what that feels like. And so that's what had me sobbing on my couch, because like it was so beautifully written, and the way that his loved ones sort of rally around him without even having to know what's wrong. They just know that something's up, and so they stick by him. And it was just such a beautiful thing to see and to watch him learn to move and interact with the world in this new way was very hopeful and very healing for me to read. So that's another reason why I think this resonated with me so much, and there's nothing you can do about it except carry on. And he does choose to carry on, which was where the sort of hopeful undertone came from. And the way that the ending is kind of ambiguous as well, like Poe and Katza are on their way to go and do separate things. Even though they're in love and they are still, you know, each other's, but they're not holding each other back from what they want to do either. So That's my 2 cents on the end of the book. And I just loved it. Overall, it's just a beautiful book. It's a great book.
Period.
And that's probably some of the best writing. Like, I don't know what it is, the writing style.
I was shocked by the writing. I was expecting to enjoy the story, but I was honestly blown away by the writing.
Yeah, like it was masterful. It was like, it's so good.
If
and
you
so
read
vivid.
any fantasy this year, make it Graceling.
Yeah, if you're new to fantasy, read Graceling. Because, like, it's not even high fantasy.
No, it's not.
And there's not really magic. It's
yeah, it's just wonderful.
It's a thing unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really, like, you know how, like, often when books are marketed, it'll be like, oh, it's like ACOTAR, but with this twist, or, oh, it's like Fourth Wing, but with this twist. You couldn't do that with this.
No, this is special.
It's incomparable. So, I love it so much. Please, 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 please read it. Just, like, this book just, like, it just took a piece of my soul and then put it back, like, new, you know? like it fixed something for me. It genuinely affected me in a way that I don't think that I'll be able to forget.
Well done, Ray. Claps.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's what I was saying. I was like, seriously, like, the listeners know what's up. Like, every single requested read so far for me has been like a 5-star banger.
Yeah. The listeners are really, juicing you.
You guys are geniuses, and we need more requested reads, for sure.
Yeah.
Because keep them coming, because this was wonderful. And I'm gonna sit with it for a few days, and then I'm gonna read the second book.
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited. Oh yeah, and then also, like, the council, and, like, everything with, like, that Katza's doing, like, on her own, and, like, the fact that she started this whole, like, secret society of do-gooders, like, crazy. It's so inspiring.
Bad bitch energy.
Yeah. Like, the whole book, like, she has this attitude, but at the same time, she's, like, she points it in a good direction.
Yeah, she weaponizes it.
Yeah. In a way that, helps to genuinely affect her, like, where she lives.
Positive change.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it just keeps snowballing, and I love it. So then that's what made me think of it, is because I'm thinking about reading the rest of the series and, like, seeing how it continues to have this sort of ripple effect from one girl who decided she was done being a mindless guard dog. Mm-hmm. And her gift is life.
Her gift is life. Yeah. If there are more books that you think we should read, we are eager for it. We're hungry. Okay, give it to us. You can give it to us via email to badlyannotedpod@gmail.com, or via Instagram or Threads @badlyannotedpod. And if for some reason you haven't figured out where to find us by now, all of our links are available in our Instagram bio. And with that, best wishes, kindest regards.
Sincerely, Jess and